Hey everyone, Kevin here. Today I felt like talking about a fairly common question that all job seekers have grappled with on practically every application. Are cover letters even still relevant anymore? Well, that question actually has two answers. On the one hand, a well worded cover letter can only help you during a hiring process, so in that sense, yes, it's still relevant. On the other hand, does anyone actually read them? Well, then the answer is almost always no. So they aren't exactly contradictory answers, but rather ones that can be seen as giving conflicting advice. And I think this is frankly why the question gets asked in the first place. Job seekers see an antiquated process in cover letters that has been almost entirely supplanted by recruiters effectively becoming that cover letter by screening applications long before a hiring manager ever sees someone's resume. This is what Sarah Brooke, a recruiter at Hospital Corporation of America in Nashville, Tennessee, said, and I agreed with her. Recruiters review your qualifications and follow up with a phone call to screen you and verify if you're a good match for the job. On average, most recruiters spend less than 60 seconds reading your resume, and the vast majority of hiring managers don't even read it at all. They just don't have the time or effort to do so, and only ever really read a cover letter if they're having a difficult time deciding between a few different candidates. So, this is why I said that it can only help you, even when faced with the reality that your letter is highly unlikely to get read. Emily Meekins, CEO and founder of WorkStrat, said that she rarely reviews cover letters. Quote, 85% of the time, I can learn enough from your resume and LinkedIn profile. The application slash interview process is time consuming enough without a cover letter. I prefer candidates save their time and reapply it to other areas of their search. In my view, your resume shows off your skills and is what helps recruiters know if you would fit a position. It doesn't matter if Shakespeare himself wrote your cover letter. If your resume shows that you aren't a fit for the job, then you aren't going to get an interview in the first place. However, other CEOs claim the opposite and say that they have made significant hiring decisions based on cover letters. So, as I said, this is why the question exists now. There is so much conflicting advice, and job seekers kind of end up getting jaded from it. So, all I can really give you is my perspective, and you can take what you want from that opinion. So, what's my view? Cover letters are virtually useless and exhausting. I wrote them for most jobs early on and realized that I was getting interviews only for positions that I didn't include one. Plus, I remember just how tiring it was to write a new one for every job I applied to, even if I was just using a template that I would change some words around here and there to reuse. I also realized that the time I spent creating a cover letter equaled the time it took to submit two or three other applications. Plus, I already have to have a portfolio as an ID so recruiters and hiring managers know if my skills match what they're looking for. So, how much more are they really going to obtain from reading a cover letter that often just repeats my resume and tells them information they could have obtained in the interview or from my portfolio? I know many recruiters too, and not one of them has ever said they'd read a cover letter. They see it as an unnecessary and bit of an archaic way of doing things. Heck, even on jobs I did submit a cover letter and got interviewed for, they often ask me questions I answered in that letter and found out later that they never even bothered to read it. This is why almost all applications now read cover letter optional in parentheses. If I see an application where it is required, I don't even bother applying. I frankly don't have time for that, and it is a laborious thing to do when they are often not even considered during the hiring process. The only time I would recommend doing this is when you are pivoting to a new career or position you've never done and have no background in. This way, you can justify how your previous qualifications would give you the skills necessary to fulfill the role, or at least explain something in your resume that might be difficult to understand. To my transitioning teachers out there who are very fresh out of education and haven't landed even a part time role out of the classroom yet, this might benefit you to do a few times. Again, though, That is my perspective and experience, and that may not be yours. By and large, though, cover letters are outdated relics that take up too much of our time and provide little return on investment. I just don't like them personally and would rather commit my time elsewhere. This can be tricky since there is kind of two answers right now, as we are still in this transitionary period between people who think they are still necessary and the growing number who think they aren't. But I think that's all I have on that topic for today because it's a conflicting situation that's still, as I said, in transition. But if you need any help or support in this area and want to discuss this further, I'm always available to listen. See you next time.